Peace. When do we want it? Now. What do we want?
Peace.
When do we want it?
Now.
You're wasting billions on this war. Why not spend it on the poor?
Now.
Wasting billions on the war.
You're wasting billions on this war. Why not spend it on the poor?
You're wasting billions on this war. Why not spend it on the war?
Tell me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like.
This is what
democracy looks like.
Where's the drum? 1, 2, 3, 4. We don't want your awful war. 1, 2, 3, 4. We don't want your awful war. 1, 2, 3, 4. We don't want your awful war.
War for oil.
Stop the hate. Stop the hate.
Hi, Aubrey. Hello. I got a touch on.
How many soldiers have to die? How many mothers have to cry? How many soldiers have to die? How many mothers have to cry? What do we want? Peace! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Peace! When do we want it? Now! Money for health and education! Not for bombs and occupation! Money for health and education! Not for bombs and occupation! Civil rights under attack! What do? Stand up, fight back! Civil rights under attack! What do? Stand up, fight back! No more torture, no more war! We don't take it anymore! No more torture, no more war! We don't take it anymore! 1, 2, 3, 4. We don't want your oil roar. 5, 6, 7, 8. Stop the violence. Stop the hate. 1, 2, 3, 4. We don't want your oil war. 5, 6, 7, 8. Stop the violence. Stop the hate.
Right, I know.
We're going to do the first verse, then you repeat it, then we'll do the second verse and you repeat it. She said that would work better. Money for jobs and education, not for war and occupation.
Not for war and occupation.
How many soldiers have to die?
How many soldiers have to die?
How many mothers have to cry?
How many mothers have to cry?
What do we want?
Peace.
When do we want it?
Now. What do we want?
Peace!
When do we want it? Now.
You're wasting billions on the war.
You're wasting billions on the war.
Why not spend it on the poor?
Why not spend it on the poor? Give it to the poor.
Yeah. Money for health and education,
Money for health and education.
not for bombs and occupation.
Not for bombs and occupation.
Civil rights are under attack.
Civil rights are under attack.
What do we do? Stand up, fight back.
Stand up, fight back.
No more torture, no more war.
No more torture, no more war.
We won't take it anymore.
We won't take it anymore.
Tell me what democracy looks like.
What democracy looks like.
What do we want?
All right, how are you?
Well, I'm not marching with them, but I'm not necessarily against them either. I was just observing them. What do you think about that?
Well, I think it's a necessity these days.
I think
It's been a long time.
I'm going to ask you something off the record.
Uh-huh.
You work for a paper?
No.
Is Bush just a walking, talking dumbass?
Yeah.
My brother's way more smarter than me, and my brother never says nothing. And he said, "You ain't giving this to nobody, are you?" I'm a coach and teacher.
Soldiers have to die! How many mothers have to cry? How many mothers have to cry? How many soldiers have to die? How many soldiers have to die? How many mothers have to cry? How many mothers have to cry? No more torture, no more war! We won't take it anymore! 1, 2, 3, 4, we don't want your oil war! 1, 2, 3, 4, we don't want your oil war! 5, 6, 7, 8, stop the violence, stop the hate! 5, 6, 7, 8, stop the violence, stop the hate! Money for health and education! Money for health and education! Not for bombs and occupation! Not for bombs and occupation! How many soldiers have to die? How many soldiers have to die? How many mothers have to cry?
We can tie it up.
Yeah, they just planted that this week.
War and occupation! Peace! What do we want now? What do we want? Peace! Now! Tell me what democracy looks like! This is what democracy looks like!
Maybe on the other side of the stand.
This is what democracy looks like!
Come right here. Come right here.
This is won't take it anymore. Peace. Now. Peace. Now. What do we want? Peace. When do we want it? Now. What democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. What democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Tell me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Tell me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. No more torture, no more war. No more torture, no more war. We won't take it anymore. We won't take it anymore. What do we want? Peace. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Peace. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Peace. When do we want it? Now. Money for health and education. Money for health and education. Not for bombs and occupation. Not for bombs and occupation. No more torture, no more war. No more torture, no more war. We won't take it anymore. What do we want? Peace. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Peace. When do we want it? Now. Fight for jobs and education. Not for war and occupation. Not for war and occupation. How many soldiers have to die? How many mothers have to cry? Money for health and education. Not for bombs and occupation. This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Peace. Now. Peace. Now. Peace. Now.
All right. Are we on? Are we good? Can we hear everything in the back? All right. Is everyone up here? We're all squished in. Does anybody want to pick up these cars and move these cars for us right here? Could someone do that for us? No? Yes? You? No. Okay. Welcome, everyone, to the 2007 March for Peace. Give it up for yourselves for being here. Woo! That's right. I'm going to be your guide, your MC, your person, if you will, to take you through this wonderful event. My name is Hadley Carson Hindmarsh. I was here with you last year. How many people were here last year? Raise a hand. How many here? First time at this peace rally? Now, I want to note right now, this is the first time my husband has been at this peace rally, but he didn't raise his hand. He's sitting over there in the back. Stuart, we'll talk about that later. Now, some of you may know me, some of you may not. I don't know any of you people, so I'm going to introduce myself a little bit here, because it's always good to know who's up here talking to you. I was formerly in a war myself as president of the Democratic Party in Benton County. I think many of you understand exactly what I mean by that, but we're here, that's right. But anyway, I'm here today. I'm happy to be here. It's such a compliment for the OMNI Center to ask me back this year. I think you guys are in for a great time. We've got speakers, we've got poets, we've got singers-songwriters, we have it all. Although, as many of you noticed, we don't have the dogs of peace with us this year, because apparently the dogs weren't allowed. Potential harm to the dogs, we didn't want to get involved with that. Last year there were many more dogs, not so much this year. You know, you guys, I'm a mommy of 3. I have 3 boys, 9, 7, and 5. They're a year older, and I'd like to note, unfortunately, they're a year closer to becoming potentially involved in this war if it continues to go on. I know many of you look around at your children or your grandchildren, you wonder, how long is this going to go on? How long are we going to continue down a path with no end, and fortunately or unfortunately, no plan for an end? I think many of us here want to see a plan. We want to see some action. We want to see something moving forward, something that looks like a plan to end this war. I know that many of our people today are going to speak about that. And afterwards, this year, we invite you to stay on for open mic to talk about what it is that you want. So, moving right on, one of the things we're going to start with is a statement of unity, because we know as thinking people, while we may have different ideas and different strategies we might like all to talk about, we can come together on a statement of unity. And today, Abe Thomason is going to give us the statement of unity for our purpose here today. Abe?
the table. It's okay. Okay, thanks everybody for coming. The statement of unity is primarily not one more day, not one more death, and not one more dollar. And today we're witnessing the largest peace offensive this nation's seen since Vietnam. And in during every war in history, individuals have opposed our country's involvement in wars, whether religious, political, or personal. But today we came together to show our disagreement with the United States' current military involvement in Iraq and to call on our government to act to end the war. And only continued united action at the grassroots level such as this is going to stop this war. So, not one more day. We call on our government to immediately end this war and begin withdrawing troops from Iraq. We've been there 4 years, and that's 4 years too long. And we also call on them to dismantle all U.S. military bases. The majority of Iraqis think we want to maintain military bases there permanently. It's time for political and diplomatic solutions to the sectarian conflict. Within Iraq, we need diplomacy and in the region. And it's time for an Iraqi-led rebuilding of their country. And it's time to start bringing our troops home now. 4 years is enough. Not one more death. Not one more death. The invasion and occupation of Iraq is responsible for the unnecessary death of well over 3,000 U.S. soldiers and many more private contractors, and possibly hundreds of thousands of Iraqi men, women, and children. Countless more on both sides continue to suffer from the injuries of war. We have well over 20,000 American soldiers wounded. And not one more Iraqi or U.S. soldier or civilian should be killed. We need to end this war. Not one more dollar. We've spent billions on this war, and we're continuing to spend billions on the continued military campaign in Iraq. This money should be redirected toward meeting domestic needs like jobs, education, and health. And these funds should also be provided to help the Iraqi government rebuild its civilian infrastructure. And Congress should immediately end the funding for any military purposes in Iraq. And not one more U.S. dollar should be spent sustaining this war, an unjust and illegal occupation.
Wouldn't be a peace rally if we didn't start off with a folk song, right? We have to do that. We have to be part of our own cliche. Is that right? All right. So today we have with us a woman that I know many of you know. You've probably heard her here and there. I walked up to her and I asked her, I said, tell me one interesting thing about her. 25 minutes later, I picked out one thing that I think is pretty interesting about her. Anybody heard of Edie's Attic in Atlanta, Georgia? It's a place owned by the Indigo Girls. Pretty awesome little group there. Well, apparently Jory won a contest. Got to play there in that very venue just because of her incredible talent. We're happy to have her here today. Give it up for Jory Costello.
Thank you so much. And as many of you know, I'm not your ordinary folk singer. I'm another feminist for peace. And if you haven't read my shirt, it says, the only bush I trust is my own. Another cool thing I could point out, now that I can see it, is I drew the letters for that sign, Women of the World Say No to War. Along with many other women, we all met up and made that sign, and it made one of the best pictures in the morning news that year. This is a song, the lyrics are by Pam Doherty, and I arranged it, and I do have my own band, the Jory Costello Band. Come see us sometime. And I also work at Community Access Television. Now, if you don't know, there's a public access television center right here in Fayetteville. You need to know, it's around the corner on Rock and Block. Come learn how to use the cameras and get our voices on TV. Yes, and help me help you shine your light, people. Shine your light on the world. Shine a little light on the world, world. Shine a little light. That's right, make some noise. Shine your light. Maybe somewhere a man sitting behind a desk ready to sign. It's okay for a nuclear test. He sees the light of the rainbow dancing in his window, smiling, beginning to understand. He lets the pen slipped from his hand. Shine a light on the world. Shine a little light on the world, world, world. Shine a little light. Imagine that maybe somewhere a soldier with his finger on the trigger, ready to shoot, but in his line of sight, on the end of the barrel, sits a butterfly. Dropping his gun in the midst of the war, he cries, I just cannot fight anymore. Shine a light, shine a little light, shine a little light on the world. Shine your light, you got to shine your light. Shine your light, I know you do. You got to shine your light. Maybe somewhere, maybe somewhere, it may be right here. Yeah, I know it's right here where you got to shine your light. I said shine your light, shine your light, shine a little light on the world, on the world. Shine your light on the world, on the world. Maybe somewhere a woman in a nursing home bed, long ago giving up for dead. So confused and so much pain, does it really have to be this way? Deep in the night, she closes her eyes and she finds her own healing powers inside. Shine a light, shine a little light, shine a little light on the world. Shine your light, shine a light on this world. Maybe somewhere a woman who's about to give birth, she looks around her at the earth, and she finds that it's a good place to be for her child to grow strong and free, strong and free. Shine a little light, shine a little light on the world. Maybe somewhere, maybe everywhere, and maybe right here where you shine your light, where you shine your light. Shine your light, shine, shine, shine the light on the world, on the world. You got to shine, you got to shine your light on the world, on the world, on the world. Shine your light on the world, shine your light, you know it. Shine your light, you got to shine your light, and don't you stop shining. You got to shine your light, you got to keep on being the shining light you are. Be the shining light you are. We can change this world with our lights, with our gifts, with our love, with our light. Shine your light on the world.
She in the crowd. Melanie, where are you at? Somewhere over here. I'd like to remind Melanie that it was nearly 11 minutes into this peace rally before we heard the F word for the first time. Feminist. Thank you, Jory. She's broken hearts and spades. We can all play now. All right. If you were here last year, you know that we were all blown away by our next speaker. We all thought to ourselves, why don't he run for office? Because that's what they all say when you speak well. They say, when are you going to run for office? That's what we all say, right? Well, today we have with us again a professor from the University of Arkansas's History and African American Studies part. There's really no introduction I can do to do him justice, so please yourselves welcome Dr. Charles Robinson.
Thank you. During his first inaugural address in 1933, Franklin Delano Roosevelt provided direction to the American people as to the best way to handle the worldwide economic crisis known as the Great Depression. Roosevelt suggested that although the nation was suffering from the highest unemployment rate in its history, although hundreds of banks had faltered and millions had lost life savings, and although soup and bread lines could be seen in every city, the greatest challenge that Americans faced was not that of poverty, but of overcoming their fears. Roosevelt declared, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself, nameless, unreasoning, unjustified terror, which paralyzes needed efforts to convert retreat into advance. Now, some 74 years later, in the midst of a new national crisis caused by our involvement in Iraq, we recognize the relevance of Roosevelt's words. Today, our nation is suffering because we are gripped by a great and tragic fear, one that has systematically incapacitated our national judgment and made us prisoners to a misguided foreign policy. For what else can explain our participation in Iraq? We know that there were never any weapons of mass destruction, yet we are still there. We know that Saddam Hussein had nothing to do with the 9/11 attacks, yet we are still there. We know by an investigation done by our own government that the war has been badly mismanaged, yet we are still there. And we know that this war has wrested away the lives of over 100,000 Iraqis and over 3,000 Americans and cost billions of dollars that could have gone towards preserving life, yet we are still there. I declare to you today that as a nation, we are emotional captives to a great fear that has shackled, paralyzed, and compromised our national self-esteem. This sense of terror that many Americans feel is not our fault, for instead of admonishing the American people to live courageously, as Roosevelt did in his day, our present leadership has sustained its power on a foundation of fear. The president says that he will not set timetables for troop withdrawals because he is afraid that it will embolden the terrorists. Congress says that it can only pass non-binding resolutions against the war because Congress is afraid that anything more substantive would endanger the troops. The presidential hopefuls from each party use carefully worded statements about the war because they are afraid that more forceful calls for withdrawal will jeopardize their presidential aspirations. And while our leadership remains mired in the manacles of fear, thousands of people fighting and living in a war zone that we created, thousands of people with husbands, wives, children, and babies, people with hopes and dreams no different than you and me, people who wanted nothing more than to grow old with their families nearby, are being destroyed by this immoral, unjust, and inhumane conflict. Today, we have come to declare to America and the world that we have had enough of this war. Today, we have come to announce to America and the world that we are through with the politics of fear. Today, we come to demand to our national leaders that they throw off the crippling chains of terror that bind us to this war and to make our nation free again. Now is the time for us to replace our national anxiety with a national optimism. Now is the time for us to spew out the bitter fruit of fear that divides us and to ingest the sweet and succulent fruit of liberty that will unite us. Now is the time for us to move from a policy of war to a program of peace. And by doing this, we will once again rediscover our true national character. By doing this, we will liberate the great spirit of our national image from the hollow valley of destroying life to the high and serene mountaintop of fostering and sustaining life. By doing this, we will be able to speed up that day when America will once again be a nation of promise. Then we will be able to sing with newfound meaning, my country 'tis of thee. Sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died. Land of the pilgrim pride. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. And when freedom rings, then we will be able to transform the tragic tunes into the classic psalms of peace. When freedom rings, then we will be able to hew out of the mountain of violent despair a stone of heavenly hope. When freedom rings, then we will be able to stop this horrible war and bring our soldiers home. Thank you.
What did I say? What did I say? You know, it is great to live in the United States, but it is great to live in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Isn't that right? Because in Fayetteville, Arkansas, we have a wonderful center of learning and higher education that brings us people like Dr. Robinson. And we have an amazing folk singing community that brings us Jory Costello. And we have yet more communities, the poetry community, that reminds us, both softly and loudly, of what our conscience say, but sometimes the words we are afraid to speak. And today to speak to us is Mindy Knott. Give her a warm welcome. Well, it's a little personal history. We'll go through it quick. Preacher's kid. Military veteran, police officer, poet, peace activist. It was a long road, y'all. I want to read this poem. It's so funny when you start listening to everybody, how everything begins to weave together. Everything. You know, nobody really wanted this slot after Dr. Robinson. Fools rush in where angels fear to tread. And, I'll go ahead with my bad stuff, but you'll notice some repetition, and I hope we keep noticing that throughout the day, because I think all that repetition is good. It is good to bring our hearts together and our souls up high. We've been working a long time, and we're ready for change. How many people said they were here for the first time, their first peace rally? All right, this poem is for you, okay? We'll go back a little ways to when I really first got involved in this particular movement. It's called Peace, Pay It Forward. The night of September 10th, I watched a movie called Pay It Forward, about changing the world by returning good deeds, not to the one who had done one for you, but by doing a favor for the next Joe you meet. In fact, take 3 people and do one for each. Nothing new, really. It's a thought as old as human decency. I cried a little, laughed, then woke on 9/11, a hum in my head that sounded like hope. After the news from New York, I couldn't figure out how to hold that thought, because I knew that for years we would be paying it back, not forward. And it didn't matter who, as long as they were Middle Eastern, practiced Islam, could be Muslim. We didn't have to be exact. Revenge is like that. So we blindly paid it back with guns and soldiers, tanks and bombers, until at last I hoped we killed our quota. An eye for an eye seemed satisfied according to statistics. But we couldn't quit because the enemy is everywhere. The world's so full of terrorists
that over 5 years later we're still fighting to pay it back. Pay back every indignation we imagine has been or even will be perpetrated against this administration. This, even though we've lost 3,000 more and many more of those who do survive will always be just barely alive. And the enemy, well, shouldn't their debt be settled with tens of thousands dead, hundreds of thousands homeless, the complete destruction of a land and a people who can't recall what a regular day is like, going to the market, cooking dinner, watching TV, flushing the toilet, reading by lamplight, leaving for work, driving through the city, going to church or to the corner cafe have become death-defying acts. Think about it. 3 square miles of New York City, all of Baghdad looks like that. Whatever we dreamed they'd done or were about to do, have we not paid it back? When I dream about the victims of the World Trade Center, they line a low brick wall while behind them the 2 towers fall and never stop. The people don't look behind them, but stare at me accusingly, their faces confused, their eyes filled with grief, while a child circles a giant oak tree, roughening his fingers against the bark. Around and around, while in the background the towers tumble, crash silently, like the coverage on TV with the sound turned down, never ending, crumbling eternally. All of those people are waiting for the end, not revenge. Their souls longing for peace, left here wondering when. I've been working ever since to find a way to pay peace forward so it can come back around to them. Writing peace, we pay it forward. Reading peace, we pay it forward. Singing peace, we pay it forward. Saying, playing, praying peace, we pay it forward. America, we need your help to pay peace forward. We need your minds and bodies, names. We need every individual, your families and friends, high school and college kids. Put on your jeans, your high tops, and your tees. Business types, wear your neckties and your suits. Come forward, faithful. Whatever you believe, you're welcome too. Electricians, linemen, cooks, and cops. Your khakis, undershirts, they'll do. Come out of the factories, hospitals, classrooms. Come in from the docks and the boats. Climb out of the mines. Leave your assembly lines. Abandon your used car lots. Secretaries, slip on your flats, the sneakers you wear at lunch to walk. It's time to exercise, exercise, exercise your right to protest more unjust war and occupation. It's time to refuse to pay the unjustifiably high price. Not one more death, one more dollar, one more day. We need to reach out and help those people who need saving because, believe me, we are they. This is the USA where we can say what we like, express likes and dislikes. We are the bosses here. We can show by example instead of by force how a democracy works. With people gathering for the people's good in the street protected as we legally oppose our leaders. This is America where we are free to declare our intentions and voice our dissension and believe that the people will hold sway. You, the people, beautiful believers in freedom and justice, willing to march in the streets and deliver your demands to your government, willing to work for the peace you pay forward. You, America, of thee I sing.
It's the preacher's kids. They're the ones. You got to look out for those ones. They'll come and get you. All right. How many times have I heard in all the different issues and all the different causes, because I can be a gadfly in that way and run around to all the things I like, do I hear people say, why don't the young people get involved? What's with that 18 to 25-year-old demographic? Can't they just get involved? Can't they get themselves to the voting booth? Can't they do something? Well, yes, they can. And today, to talk to us from the National Youth and Student Peace Coalition, a steering committee member, Adam Kinney. He's from New York. Give him a warm welcome.
Thank you. And I want to say that I am very honored to be here and marching and speaking with you all. And I want to give if we all can, I guess, give a round of applause to everybody who's here and for the organizers who helped to pull all of us here today. I want to give a big thank you. I would say this rally, combined with the other rallies, marches, demonstrations, and lobbying that's taking place around the 4th anniversary of the Iraq War, continues to show the majority sentiment that is against this war and is demanding that Bush bring our troops home now. And ending this war is not just a matter of youth and students who are peace activists. It is a struggle that every youth and student needs to be fighting for and concerned about. The devastating impacts of this war are being felt not just in Iraq, but right here at home in our own communities. It is the lives of youth and students that are being used to fund and fight this war. And every year, Bush asks for tens of billions of dollars to fund this war. And right now, we are spending $8 billion a month in Iraq. And by the end of 2007, we will have spent nearly $500 billion just on the Iraq war alone. And we need to ask of our elected officials, where is this money coming from? Where is this $500 billion being found that we're able to spend on this war but not on the needs of working people? And the money is coming out of student financial aid programs, our public schools, job creation programs, veteran benefits, and other vital services that working people depend on. We have seen the horrible conditions that our public schools are in and the crisis that we face with huge sections of our generation being denied a quality public education. And while the media and the Bush administration has forgotten about New Orleans and the Gulf Coast, that city and the region still lie in ruins a year and a half after the destruction caused by Hurricane Katrina. We have all seen the massive cuts in our financial aid packages as tuition at our universities has skyrocketed. Our entire generation is faced with crushing student debt because of the loans we are forced to take out to pay for college. And we have seen the decline of decent paying union jobs. It is unbelievable today that students who've graduated from college aren't able to find a job that they can live on. And we have all seen in the recent weeks the disgusting and deplorable conditions that our injured veterans are faced with. And I don't know how this administration can say that they care about our troops when veterans are faced with the horrible conditions at Walter Reed and other VA hospitals around this country. And with all of the massive cuts in financial aid, funding for our public schools, and job training programs, we have seen the creation of something that we like to call the poverty draft. While there's no official draft in place, working class and youth of color are being starved into the military. It is in these communities that the impacts of the cuts are being felt the hardest. These are where we have the fewest jobs and the poorest schools. And students in these communities are faced with few options to go to college and to get a job. And it's in this situation that recruiters have been able to come into our public schools with their lies and their slick advertisements and have been able to lure youth and students into the military. And this situation is literally a life or death situation for young students today. And while our future is being sacrificed here at home through the funding cuts that have been happening, it's also our lives that are being used to fight this war in Iraq. And of the 3,189 U.S. soldiers that have been killed in Iraq so far, about 60% of them have been between the ages of 18 and 25. So this situation literally for all of us, for our entire young generation and all of our students that are in high school and colleges is a very life or death situation. And one thing that I want to encourage people here today, if they have anybody who, a son or daughter, a brother or sister, or relative who is in high school, we encourage everybody to sign these opt-out forms. In the high schools, every high school student, their information is turned over to the military so the recruiter is able to call them at home and get their information. And Stephen Kruger over here has these opt-out forms. And so if you're concerned about this and you don't want your son or daughter, your brother or sister to go to war, then I suggest this is one thing that you can do today and sign up and send it into the schools. So we must continue to take to the streets to the ballot box and the halls of Congress to demand not another day, not another dollar, not another death. We must demand that we end the funding for this war and bring our troops home now. We must fully fund our public schools, job creation programs, veteran benefits, and rebuild the Gulf Coast. We have to make these connections, too, between all of these different struggles that we're involved in as youth and students, and to show how everything that we're fighting for is related to peace. At the beginning of the 5th year of this war, we are witnessing a massive shift in the sentiment of the people in the United States. With the results of the 2006 elections and the majority sentiment that is against this war, we now have greater leverage and ability to end this war. With the pressure of the elections, the recent march and rally and lobby day that was in D.C. that had 500,000 people, and the continued action like these that are happening all across the United States in every town and city, the people in Congress and our elected officials are being forced to listen and to act on our demands. And if we continue with our united voice, holding these actions, lobbying our elected officials, we will ensure that this is the last anniversary and the last year of this war. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. You know, I like these descriptions that I get in the programs here of different people. This one is on our next two presenters for us, Jeff and Leslie Olsner. And it doesn't just say they're poets. It doesn't just say they're singer-songwriters. It says they're all-around musicians. So I think that's a great compliment. You're just an all-around musician. You would win that gold medal, the all-around, medal at the gymnastics meet, I think. Give it up for Jeff and Leslie Olsner.
Well, we're going to be all around because we're going to all sing together with you. And there's so much peace and power here in the Ozarks, where we have our feet planted right now. And this song will take us all around the world. We wanted to do a song for you by an Ozark songwriter, and Granny Riddle, Almeda Riddle, was born near Greer's Ferry in 1898, and before she died in 1986, she'd performed many, many places. If you Google Granny Riddle, you'll find her glorious voice. You can hear it singing over 80 different ballads. She wrote this song.
We're going to teach you the chorus so that you can join in with us, and it's called "Oh Peace."
So we'll do the chorus first, and then we'll line it out for you, and we'll sing it. Oh, peace, oh, peace, sweet dove of peace, let your white wings encircle our glow. Oh, Lord, how we pray and we hope every day for the dawning of worldwide peace. Now let's try it. Oh, peace, oh, peace, sweet dove of peace, let your white wings encircle our globe. Sweet dove of peace, let your white wings encircle our globe. Get on board with this. Oh Lord, how we pray and we hope every day for the dawning of worldwide peace. Oh Lord, how we pray and we hope every day for the dawning of worldwide peace. I'm starting to feel all around now. Let's try it. Oh, peace, oh, peace, sweet dove of peace, let your white wings encircle our glow. Oh, Lord, how we pray and we hope every day for the dawning of worldwide peace. Save from the slaughter of bloodthirsty rulers, our fathers, mothers, daughters, and our sons. Oh, grant the sweet rivers of peace may soon flow, where the blood of our own now runs. Here we go. Oh, peace, sweet dove of peace. Sweet dove of peace, let your white wings encircle our glow. Oh Lord, how we pray and we hope every day for the dawning of worldwide peace. Grant that all nations may ground arms of warfare and travel the great road of peace, working together to birth a new era when warfare and strife will cease. Here we go now. Oh, peace. Oh, peace. Sweet dove of peace, let your white wings encircle our glow. Oh Lord, how we pray and we hope every day for the dawning of worldwide peace. Beating the weapons of war into plowshares and sowing the battlefields with wheat, feeding the hungry of all of the nations and living at last in peace. Oh, peace, oh, peace, sweet dove of peace, let your white wings encircle our glow. Oh Lord, how we pray and we hope every day for the dawning of worldwide peace. Oh Lord, how we pray and we hope every day for the dawning of worldwide peace.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I don't want to feel alone up here or anything, but did anyone else think that get on board was what you were supposed to sing in the next thing? I started going, get on, OP. I wasn't all on board on that one. All right, again, back to my descriptions. This is what I love. I've never met Doug Shields before. I'm guessing this is Doug Shields down the end. And I think that this must represent him well because his description is poet. Doug Shields.
How I miss you, Donald Rumsfeld. No! Your talent for stringing together hundreds of words without making a statement makes slam poets jealous. Go, Rummy! Your wit is the wisdom of America. Like the time you said, I would not say that the future is necessarily less predictable than the past. I would say that the past was not predictable when it started. Or the time you said, as we know, there are no knowns. That is, there are things we know, but there are also known unknowns, the things we now know we do not know. But there are also unknown unknowns, the things we do not know we do not know. Get it? So, Donnie, maybe you didn't know the difference between Saddam and Osama. Osama was the one dancing on your tongue when you said, we do know of certain knowledge that he is either in Afghanistan or in some other country. And please, don't tell me your downward-pointing space telescopes gave you bad information about Saddam's non-existent nuclear weapons. Your eye was all over the sky when you said, we know where they are. They're in the area around Tikrit and Baghdad and east, west, south, and north somewhat.
And although Saddam never had a nuclear bomb, he did have chemical weapons. He used them on the Shiites in 1982. You knew about the massacre, Rummy. In 1983, you shared a Christmas handshake with Saddam, spoke with him for 90 minutes, and vowed that his chemical massacre would not stand in the way of bilateral relations between United States and Iraq. So maybe you weren't watching the news in the 90s when the UN weapons inspectors found and destroyed his chemical arsenal. Maybe you were too busy cashing paychecks on the board of the British company ABB when it sold $200 million in nuclear reactors to North Korea, a publicly reported transaction which you, speaking through your spokesperson, don't recall being brought before the board at any time. Well, fortunately for you, Ronald Reagan proved that not recalling is not the same as perjury, but as you yourself once said, there are a lot of people who lie and get away with it, and that's just fact. A fact indeed, Mr. Rumsfeld. So while I'm elated to be rid of your lies, your resignation offered only temporary comfort, like the Fox News blitz when you killed Al-Qaeda number 2, but we knew that Al-Qaeda number 1 was still in Afghanistan or in some other country. Likewise, now, we, as the citizen rulers of this democracy, must not rest until we accept the resignation of the number 1 man in this administration, the king puppet of the Iraq oil war, George W. Bush. Because, Mr. Rumsfeld, the truest thing you ever said, this country cannot afford amateur hour in the White House. Fight for peace.
Now many in the Pentagon acknowledge that there is no military solution to the crisis in Iraq. Not another death. Not another dollar. Perhaps your congresspeople, Congressman Bosman and Senator Pryor and Lincoln, won't agree to end the funding for the...
Back in the 70s, and it's about all war. All wars are atrocities. There are no wars without an atrocity. War is an atrocity. There are 2 terms in it. One is corselet, which was the old body armor that the Romans and others wore. And the other is midden, which is our trash and rubbish our cities are built on, the ancient cities that we dig up. And this is about the end of the planet. Backing up frost, a ring of teeth. Bad neighbors make good fences. And this wall, tovarish, a lobotomy through a people's mind, a city. This Siegfried, Maginot, great twisting work of centuries against those, you fill in the blanks. Barbarian effete, blanking heart, blankistic, blankists and their running dogs, blank sons of blanketed, blankovian, blank-eyed savages just thirsting to destroy our rich and quiet culture, mild and golden values, our bristling, blocky neon citadels of peace. Well, it should do the job. Even if we don't preempt, it should hold them back. With, of course, more archers on the slits, armchair vigilantes at the consoles, drifting contrail planes, and our new Panacea model rockets, targeted and ready to leap forth and melt whole populations of clear-eyed young hopes. Men should be more by now than cannibal antlions, with pincers cocked and waiting, scanning their horizons for hostile twiddling feelers. The tents of humankind were pitched for more than this suicidal sovereignty. The walking universe that is man, the mind of man, was meant for more. Its final symbol must never be a ring of teeth turned grimacing toward some universal morning when those first consuls from distant brother races, touching on Earth's fused middens, may stand bemused and staring